Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review for this morning's latest news and press conference reaction. I do apologise for the late start, guys. My camera did not seem to want to work this morning. I switched it on. I was just getting a blank screen, and I thought, what the hell is going on here? But we are here, we are live, and we are covering the press conference. So thank you for hanging around. It's been a bit of a stressful time since I watched the press conference, then I came into the studio, switched everything on, and boom, the camera doesn't work. So you have to unplug everything, try it again, reboot everything, and eventually things do start happening and it starts working. So we are here, and good morning to everybody tuned in or watching on a rerun, of course. If you do enjoy the show, please give it a like. Keep those likes coming in, guys. And, of course, please do subscribe if you are new to the channel and you like what you see. It is completely free of charge. All we ask for is that you hit that notification bell so you never miss any uploads or live shows on the channel. No Sydney Baz, I was not watching the cricket. I could not be less interested in cricket. It's not my sport. It's not what I follow. I know there's a lot of cricket fans do follow this channel. Billy is, in fact, a very big cricket fan as well. So, but it's not something I tend to follow. But anyway, we digress because Eddie has been speaking to the media ahead of the big clash with Burnley tomorrow, trying to get back on track and get going again after the little blip against Tottenham, I guess you could call it. But, you know, once all the dust has settled and you look back at the performances since the international break ended, we haven't done that badly, have we? You know, we've got 2 wins and a draw in the Premier League. It's 7 points. If somebody said to you, oh, you know, you'll take 7 points from a possible 9 when you play Manchester City at home, Everton away, and Tottenham at home, I think everybody would have said, yeah, 7 points is a good turnaround. So all in all, it's not that bad. What we do need to see is a little more improvements on the pitch, a little bit more oomph here and there, shall we say, with regards to making mistakes late on. And then he was questioned about that quite a lot in the press conference about the fact that we can't seem to hang on to leads. What is the problem with that? And he doesn't know. It's just he doesn't think it's anything major in the dressing room to worry about, and it's things that will be put right in due course. Now, of course, he did say it's all right me sitting here saying this, but we've got to see it on the pitch, of course, and that's the big thing for me. We've got to see it on the pitch. It's all right words and talking and things like that before the game, but they have to go out and perform when they're on the pitch. And, yes, it was disappointing against Tottenham. It felt like more of a defeat to us than it did Tottenham. I'm sure it did. However, at the same time, we've took another point. And, the league is so tight. If you look at the points that the teams have got, and he was asked about that as well this morning, does he think the league will stay as competitive and cramped as it is at the minute with all the points? So there was a lot of good stuff that Eddie came out with, and I'm still fully behind Eddie. And I know there's a lot of people in the Newcastle fan base, that do want Eddie out, that don't think he's the man to take us forward. I'm still in the Eddie camp, well and truly. I haven't been pushed over the fence. I do get very frustrated with some of the decisions he makes, of course. But as he said this morning, there's nobody puts as much pressure on Eddie Howe than Eddie Howe himself. And he isn't a silly man. He knows that there are still things within that squad that aren't working. But he will know that he has made mistakes as well. And he will analyse those mistakes that he's made. And hopefully we don't see them, being repeated anytime soon. Because, he's a great guy, Eddie. He talks very well. And he works very hard. We know he works very hard. And like I say, nobody's going to be more frustrated than what's happened in recent, certainly this season, actually, than Eddie Howe himself. So, I'm prepared certainly to give him a bit longer. I don't think there's any necessity to change manager. Plus, the fact is, when you look at the managers who might be available, you kind of look and you think, well, who's going to come in and do a job like Eddie Howe has done? But he started off by saying we have to use everything to inspire us and to help us, to give us a renewed focus for the games ahead. Tuesday was a difficult moment because you feel with such little time left, you've thrown away points. but it happens, and we've had it the other way around. We've had 4 positive performances since the last international break, so let's look at it that way and try to win this game. Now, I don't disagree with him about the Premier League form. I think the Champions League game against Marseille, I'm not sure whether we can look at that as a good performance or not. You know, we threw that away. A goalkeeping error, of course, brought them back into the game, and they never looked back. They got the momentum, blah, 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 and went on and scored 2 goals. So it was disappointing. But I guess he is right in a way, because we've had some very good results since the international break. The Premier League form is starting to turn, if you like. There's some individual players who I think need to still step up to the mark. And I'm sure Eddie, behind the scenes, is trying to work with those players. But he has to get selections right. And I think that's been one of his major criticisms, is that maybe he's changed certain players that don't need to be changed rather than change the players that need to be changed. You look at Joe Linton, for instance. You know, he wasn't great, on Tuesday night, yet he stayed on for the whole game. That was disappointing for me. That showed that maybe, that's where sometimes Eddie falls down, is that he makes mistakes like that. And that ends up being extremely frustrating, because he shouldn't have stayed on the pitch. It was a little sad in a way. Now on Sandro Tonali, because obviously he came off at half-time, didn't he, against Tottenham during the week. But Eddie went on to say he's had a scan and we don't think it's too bad. We'll give him every chance to declare himself fit. It was a knock very similar to the one Joe Linton suffered, a dead leg type feeling. Sandro felt it was concerning enough to get scanned, but we'll see how he is today and we'll give him every chance to be fit. So again, they're going off the player himself, how he feels, whether we agree or not. Who knows? Who knows? But look, Sandro is a very competent man. He knows if he's fit. He was the one that obviously, as Eddie says there, suggested that he went for a scan, that he needed to have a scan just to have a look at it and think, yeah, I need that checked out. It looks like it's okay. So he's possibly, I would say he's a doubt for tomorrow if he's had a scan. But like Eddie says, they're going to give him every chance to get fit and declare himself fit for tomorrow. But we do have options in that area. We know now that we have options who can step in. You've got Miley there, who is playing the last couple of games. He's been absolutely superb. You've got Willock, who is starting to find a bit of form by the looks of things. And Jacob Ramsey, who he was asked about as well. But we'll come on to him a bit later, because it was an interesting answer from Eddie. But that's he's very, very pleased with the way it's going at the moment. So fingers crossed. Hellsbell says, did you see the video from, I think, Tyneside Live about the stadium plans on Leeds Park? I don't watch Tyneside Live. He's not a very nice man, to be honest. If I'm openly honest, I don't watch him. I don't have any interest in what he does, to be quite fair. And you know what? He doesn't know anything about the stadium just as much as we don't. Simple as that. Now, he obviously spoke about Sven Botman. This is a bit of a worry to me. I have to say, he kind of brushed it off as if, yeah, he's fine. He says Sven has had an injection. We hope that will bring back his return quite quickly. But now there is a time period for the injection to work, which I think is about a week. Then we'll see how he is. So again, it's no time soon. He's not going to be involved tomorrow. Pretty certain about that. And whether he's fit for Leverkusen or Sunderland is still a doubt. Personally, I don't think they'll risk him. I know a lot of people have got this feeling that Sven Botman may well be, injury ravaged or another Woodgate, all of this type of thing. I mean, look, footballers, sometimes the body, it takes a lot out of the body, and especially, centre backs with back injuries, they're stretching, they're blocking shots, they're making last minute dives to save the ball and block the shots and stuff like that. So I'm puzzled. I am puzzled about Sven Botman's fitness. Is it a concern to me that he's going to be another Woodgate? Not really. I think it's too early to make that kind of assumption on Sven Botman. He's just had a bad run of injuries. It's as simple as that. He's just had a bad run. And he will get better. There's no doubt about that. And hopefully fit again very, very soon. It is a concern, of course, that we're not being able to put him on the pitch, because I think with Sven Botman, you've got a hell of a player there, but he wasn't playing that well before he got injured. Of course, he was left out a couple of times, wasn't he? Because obviously Eddie felt that he wasn't performing to the high standards that we know Sven Botman can, which is a shame. Yvonne says, Shea doesn't sound happy being on the periphery, Paul. Do you think we will be selling him? It was an interesting question. It was a very interesting question that he got about Fabian Schär, because he went on to say that Fabian's been the ultimate professional behind the scenes, which says to me that maybe, or if there's any reports of him coming on and saying, oh, he's said this, he said that behind the scenes. Yeah, he'd be frustrated, but just like any other player. And it's like Eddie said in the press conference that, you know what, you kind of... Yeah, I knew there would be a reply to that. It seems okay to me. He may well be okay to you, but I've had dealings with Mr. Tyneside Live, and you ask any other Newcastle United YouTuber about him as well. But I'm leaving it at that. So yeah, it's. I think. Look, we've come to a point where I think team selection is going to be vital. Fabian Schär will play games. There's no doubt about that. It's just when he gets in. It was unfortunate when he got injured because he was playing very, very well. We know he was playing very well. But unfortunately, it's just the way it works sometimes in life. But Fabian will get another chance, and he will get in the team, and he'll get a run of games. But Fabian has to realise now that maybe he's at an age where, they're just... Yeah, it's I don't know. Look, the frustration is something the footballers have because they're not playing football. They want to be in the first team. Of course they do. But at the same time, like Eddie says, he's got to pick the best sides out there. He's got to pick what's best available to him. And right now, certainly let's take away the kerfuffle and the farce at the end of that Tottenham game. But I guess Dan Burn and Malik Chow are his two favourite defenders at the minute. Is two... the way they played at Everton was fantastic. Yes, there was a few little mistakes in the game on Tuesday night, certainly with Dan Burn. Late tackle for the first goal, and I don't know what the pair of them were doing for the second, why they didn't just put the foot through that ball and clear it before it rolled into the back of the net. It's, I don't know. It's one of them things. But Fabian will be okay. I don't think we'll be selling him. Now, the big question, obviously, for everybody was Yoane Wissa. And he was asked a couple of times about Wissa. He was asked straight out, could he be in the squad tomorrow? Which I liked that direct question. And I think it came from Luke Edwards towards the end. He told Eddie he was going to ask a direct question, and he did. And it was like, will Wissa be in the squad tomorrow? Now, he didn't say no. That was the big thing for me. In the previous weeks, Eddie Howe has turned around and said, no, he's not ready. We're not ready to put him in yet. It's too risky, blah, 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 blah. Today, he said, let's wait and see, which is a lot more positive than a straight out no. Listen, he may not be in the squad tomorrow. He may not be, but he also may be. And I think it's going to be a massive shot in the arm if we get Wissa back in the squad. He might not come on. He might just be on the bench, but it's still an awfully big lift to everyone. But if he's on the bench tomorrow, would I expect him to maybe play 15 minutes, 10 minutes? Yes, I think so. But there's no guarantee of that, of course. But it was certainly much more positive than what we've heard in recent weeks. He says, we're getting closer. We did an 11v11 game, sort of for him on Wednesday, which was good, and more minutes for him. Round about half an hour, he did well. So far, he's come through everything. We still have training today, and we make a decision as to whether he's ready to not just be fit, but fit to make a difference and fit to perform to his high standards. Now, he went on to say he's done absolutely brilliantly in training. He looks absolutely on fire. We've heard that from Keith Downey about what certain players have said about Wissa himself. I'm excited that we could actually see Wissa on the bench tomorrow. It will, like I say, give everybody a lift. But he did stress that obviously, like other players coming back from injury, they have to be careful. But the only way that they're going to be match fit is to get match minutes. And that's basic facts, folks, isn't it? That you've got to play games to get match fit. And he's not going to throw him straight into the first team, from the start. That's definitely not going to happen. He will take his time. He said he's not 100% yet, but the 100% comes with, I think it's sort of the 100% comes with match fitness, doesn't it? And he's got to be up there. But look, whatever happens with Wissa, he's back soon. He's back either tomorrow or certainly he'll be on the bench for, I would imagine, for Leverkusen. And then he'll be around the squad for the big game next week, of course, which we all know about. Susan says, great that Liverpool and Man United both drew too. Yep. I mean, the Liverpool-Sunderland game, look, I look at that and think, wow, we and I did put this out on X, that I think the Sunderland game is going to be an extremely difficult game, guys. Let's not beat around the bush. Eddie alluded to that game in a week's time and said that he does have a little bit of an eye on it with regards to players and rotation and things like that. But he tends to just take each game as it comes, which he's always done, to be fair. But look, Sunderland are on fire right now. There's no denying that. We'd be stupid if we sat here and thought, yeah, we're going to turn up and smash them next week. It'll be great if we do. Of course it will. But we also have to be level-headed about things and think, right, Sunderland are playing very well. It's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a cracking game, to be honest. And I just, you've got to take your hat off sometimes and say that they were expected to come up and be round the bottom fighting relegation. They're sixth in the Premier League. You have to give them some respect. Whether we like it or not, as Newcastle fans, you have to respect where they are and what they've done so far this season. They've done really well. Especially, the never say die attitude that they've had when they go behind. They don't give up. They come back, and they've done that numerous times this season to win games. So it is going to be a special game next week. It is going to be a tough game. And that's what I tweeted out, saying we have to be right at the top of our game. But that starts tomorrow, not next Sunday. That starts tomorrow. In the build-up to this game, we've got to get going. We've got to get everything right in the build-up to that game. Because this is a huge game tomorrow. It's at home against Burnley. We are expected to win the game because, without any disrespect to Burnley, Newcastle, if they want to be where we are told that they want to be, they've got to beat teams like Burnley tomorrow and beat them well. That's the main thing. It's all right, you're going out on the pitch and winning a game, but they've got to show something tomorrow. Go and get a few goals, get that confidence levels right up. And then when we go to Leverkusen during the week, that is a difficult Champions League game, but we need the Champions League points. We kind of blew it in Marseille because if we'd gone on to 12 points, it would have made the Leverkusen game, not maybe as important for qualification as now it is. We've got to go to Leverkusen and play well and do really well because we've got very difficult games coming up in the Champions League. PSG, of course, I mean, that is as it says. But then you got PSV Eindhoven, who absolutely walloped Liverpool at Anfield. I know that Liverpool are up and down at the minute, but so are we. We're not in a similar position where we're up and down. So it's not going to be an easy finish to the Champions League fixtures to see whether we qualify. So it's a big game in Leverkusen. And I think that's what Eddie's alluding to, that when we prepare for Sunderland, it starts tomorrow. And the build-up starts tomorrow by winning that game, going to Leverkusen and putting in a very, very good performance as well, ready for that Sunderland game, because we have to be absolutely 100% ready. And if we're not, God help us. God help us. Now, he did talk a bit about dropping points from winning positions, which we know has been a huge frustration for everybody this season. And Eddie said it's been really painful for us. And there's a psychological blow that happens when you do that. The set play against Arsenal, the set play against Tottenham, it's frustrating. All we could do is work on it and try to put it right. I don't think there's any mysterious reason for that underneath. We're looking at patterns and trends all the time. And I don't think there's something fundamentally wrong, but we can certainly do better. So, absolutely. Can we do better? 1,000,000% we can do better. And we have to do better. Because if we don't, we're going to suffer. And we don't want to suffer. This is a big, big game for us, folks. And you know what? Dropping the position, if you look at the 11 points that we've dropped, where I think we'd be second in the Premier League right now. if we hadn't dropped those points. Now, I know it's hypothetical. It's a lot of what ifs because in football, you can never say yes, you can never say no. But those 11 points are crucial. And one thing that we've been known for in the past, folks, is doing so well, keeping the door shut. You know, if you look at last season, we were really good at sort of clean sheets, etc. This season started off with a lot of clean sheets as well. And Eddie was asked about that, about the camaraderie in the defence, with the high fives when they're clearing the ball. And is that what he wants to see? More of that? And of course he agreed with that. And he said, yes, I want to see that. I want to see the camaraderie. I want to see the real fight and desire that we have in the back four or back five, if you include the goalkeeper, to keep clean sheets. And that's what we've got to do. And then for some reason, recently we get goals and then I don't know whether we just mentally switch off, because everybody says that the worst, most brittle time that you can concede a goal is right after you've scored. And it's right. You've got to keep right on it for 5, 10, 15 minutes to make sure that you don't concede. Or like Eddie said this morning, go and get another goal. But of course he's going to look at that. Of course he is. But for us as fans, extremely frustrating. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It is really, really frustrating. And, to see where we could have been had we not dropped. And think about the draws as well, folks. The draw at Villa, the draw at Leeds, the draw at Bournemouth. Had we picked up wins there, my God, I mean, we could be sitting here thinking, Jesus Christ, nothing's wrong. It is all rosy in the garden. There's nothing wrong this season. But, of course, football's not like that. And it is very much a lot of what ifs, and unfortunately it is a big what if, but you know what, let's just hope we can continue the good form that we're trying to find right now. And he spoke about consistency. Now again, I think consistency coincides with the dropping of 11 points. It's quite clear, if you're consistent, that doesn't happen. What we are consistent on is doing that, is conceding silly goals. And Eddie said, it feels like it's one of the most competitive Premier League seasons I've experienced. Every team we played this season has been strong and has a clear vision, identity, and a way of playing. You see the table and it tells a story. Everyone is searching for consistency and back-to-back wins. If you get them, you elevate your position. And if you don't, as we are, we're wanting to move higher in the table. But we're seeking that run that will take us there. Now, of course, we know that run has taken us there. Last season, of course, we went on a run, 9 games or something on the trot. This is what they will be looking to do again. Should we be in that position to have to do that again? Probably not, no. But we are in that position, and we have to deal with that. And that's just something that, we look at as fans and we think, well, why does it keep happening? It shouldn't keep happening. And you're right, it shouldn't. But at the same time, like I say, I've still got full trust in Eddie and the team that they will start moving up the Premier League table. You look at a couple of wins, guys, and it takes us straight up. And that's what Eddie was saying when he was asked about how close the points are in the league this season. But he said, you get a few wins and it takes you up the table, and then maybe some people go on poor run of form or dropping points here and there. And so far, we'll move up the table. But we have to be taking care of ourselves. It's all right saying, the table's there to move up. But if you're not going to go out on the pitch and perform and you don't get the results, you're not going to move up the table. It's vital. These next 3 games are massive in our season. No doubt about that for me. The Sunderland game is obviously the pinnacle of that. And that is where everybody is turning their attention to. People are already talking about the Sunderland game. And how Sunderland are playing compared to us. And, I had an interesting conversation with a Sunderland fan on X, when I put out that it was going to be a difficult game. And then he made a comment saying, how times have changed. They were going to do this to us, they were going to do that. But to be fair, I think a lot of Newcastle fans have looked at Sunderland this season, have looked at us this season and thinking, it isn't going to be what it was in the Cup when we played them a couple of years back in the FA Cup. It's not going to be anything like that. I hope it is. I hope we go out and trash them. But we have to be, cautious. But like I say, it all starts against Burnley tomorrow. He was asked about Nick Pope as well. Pope is probably around 3 weeks away. So he will miss obviously the Sunderland game as well. But he did say at the end of that comment that if they can try and beat that timeline to get him fit again, then they will, which gives me the impression, and I think everybody thinks this anyway, that as soon as Nick Pope is fit again, he'll be back in the side. Now, that's up to Aaron Ramsdale for me to put a stop to that, because he has to play very well. He was asked about Ramsdale as well and how he's performed in the 2 full games that he's played. And Eddie said he's been very pleased with him. He doesn't blame, or he said in the press conference that he's not looking at Aaron Ramsdale for any fault on any of the goals on Tuesday night. Now, I don't know whether I can believe him on that, because I think he must be disappointed with the punch that led to the goal. I don't think on the overhead kick that it was his. He could save it, because, as I say, Malik Chow and Dan Burn are standing right in front of him. That's like 2 Eiffel Towers standing in front of you, and then a sort of tennis ball smashed past you. Even though it was rolling very slowly, he hasn't got a chance to get down to that once he sees the ball. But it wasn't a great punch. And I think, Eddie saying he commanded his area very well. I'm not sure he did. I think he was a little bit hesitant on crosses. But look, it's only his second full game. And already people are jumping saying, can't wait for Pope to come back. Yet everybody wanted Pope to be dropped. And nobody can go back and say, I didn't want Pope to be dropped. I didn't want this, because 99% of people did. We did a poll on here. And, it was massively in Ramsdale's favour. So, look, all we can do is support Aaron Ramsdale, make sure that the fans are right behind him. Now, one man that will get, I would think, a very good reception tomorrow is, of course, Martin Dubravka. Eddie was asked about Martin and said, wonderful man to work with, wonderful guy. And he actually called him a Newcastle United legend. He used the legend word. I'm not sure he's a legend because I think he scuppered that a little bit with the Man United debacle when he was there on loan. But look, what Martin Dubravka did for this football club was fantastic. He came back in last season, and for me, he was one of the main reasons we made it to the cup final. And I would have played Martin Dubravka in the cup final. I know it's water under the bridge now, etc. But I do genuinely believe that he was the main reason, or one of the big reasons, that we got there, because he was superb in that spell where he came in for the injured Nick Pope. He was absolutely superb. So I really do hope that he gets a fantastic reception from the fans tomorrow. I'm sure he will. And as Eddie said, let's hope he is a very busy man tomorrow, because that's exactly what we want. We want him to be busy, hopefully picking the ball out the net quite a few times. So let's just hope and pray that he gets a good reception, but he's extremely busy. Derek says, got to win tomorrow, Paul. Off on my jollies to Tenerife. You lucky bastard. Honestly. Lucky twat. I mean, it's so miserable right here in the northeast. I mean, I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing misery and grey and foggy and all that crap, wet. And then you tell me you're going to Tenerife, you bastard. But anyway, have an absolutely wonderful time, mate. In all seriousness, enjoy the holiday. But that's it for now, guys. That's it for your press conference reaction. If you're watching this on a replay later on in the day, let me know what you thought of the press conference and Eddie's comments. Is there anything that particularly worries you about it? With injuries and things like that. But hopefully everybody's in a positive mood moving into the Burnley game tomorrow. And, of course, Matchday Live will have you covered from 2:30. Me and Billy will be commentating on that game for you. And obviously 2:30 start with a 3 o'clock kickoff. Can't wait. Looking forward to hopefully getting a few goals tomorrow and a very, very good performance. But don't forget to join us again tonight at 7 o'clock. We will have the match preview. I think all 4 of us are on tonight. Me, Sam, Alex and Billy should all be on. So hopefully that will be a fantastic show. We'll take a look at how Burnley have performed this season. We'll talk about Eddie's press conference a bit more. And then we'll try and put a team together to see what Eddie or who Eddie might pick tomorrow. Maybe the same as what we normally do, what we would like to see, and then what we think Eddie will do. So it'll be a cracking show. Join us at 7 for that. If you have enjoyed today's show, guys, give it a thumbs up. Massively important to the channel to keep the likes coming in. And obviously, if you want to be part of this channel and help us grow, the best way to do that is subscribe. It is completely free of charge. All that we ask for is that you hit that notification bell so you never miss any uploads or live shows. Check out thetoonreview.com for all your channel merchandise. Christmas coming up. Buy yourself something nice for yourself or a loved one. And that really does help the channel as well. We've had some fantastic orders, so thank you to everybody that has made orders. And of course, if you are on social media, follow us on Instagram or join the Facebook group. That has over 5,000 members now on the Facebook group. Just look for the Toon Review, fill in a couple of security questions, and myself or one of the mods will accept you into the group. But that's it for now. We will catch you back at 7 o'clock. Have a wonderful day, folks. Take care.
Come back and check on Sea Breeze.